We were thinking about selling one of the cars.
The nonprofit that helped them pay it down and what they can do for you, and the egg alternatives that might help you save money this Easter. This is News 6 Mornings.
Hey, good morning and happy Friday. It is 7 a.m. I'm Crystal Moyer.
I'm Justin Moorman. Trooper Steve here, watching the roads, eating a couple Krispy Kreme donuts, and Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos leads us off with your pinpoint forecast.
It was his birthday donut.
It is.
And I also will post it on my Facebook page. He was really loving on that donut. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast.
That's why I'm hiding my hand over here.
Over here licking his fingers.
Downtown Orlando Skycam, you know what? And for everyone here in Central Florida, we're going to enjoy some really nice looking weather as we head into the weekend. Right now, downtown Orlando, not bad. It's just a nice dry start. Our Light Orlando delivering Hope camera there, showing an Orlando cam of 65 degrees. Out by the Sanford area, we're at 63. Daytona is at 60, and Melbourne holding at 61. Looking here at the bus stop forecast for today, by about 7 around this time, we're all kind of in those low 60s, but throughout the afternoon, we are back into those mid 80s. 84 will be your high today, a little warmer than yesterday. Get that breeze is going to continue to kick up throughout the day. Primarily out of the west, that's going to be warming us up, but also that breeze between about 15 to 20 miles per hour, tied with the dry and warm weather. We will be elevating that fire risk for today. So we have a fire weather warning for Brevard, or at least northern Brevard, all of Volusia, Seminole, Orange, Osceola, Polk County until 7 o'clock this evening. Now what we do need is some rain. We're not going to get a whole lot of it. Some folks, though, will have a better chance for a few strong storms even. We'll have more details on the coverage, the timing, and the nice-looking weather behind that front coming up in just a little bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
That's right. We are watching a crash down in St. Cloud right now, Old Canoe Creek at Zion. So this is going to be just north of Canoe Creek, south of Kissimmee Park. So please be careful. Once I get a little bit more information, I will update you. But from what I understand right now, it is a head-on collision, and Old Canoe Creek, both north and southbound single lane, currently shut down out there. So please be careful. Pleasant Hill, we're starting to see those delays begin there. Also, top of the screen here, look at this one. This is going to be Simpson over towards the Buenaventura area. But your drive times really doing pretty good across Central Florida right now. No major issues out there, pretty much wherever you're at. I love when those cameras catch up because it looks like the cars are doing about 200 miles an hour out here along 441 and 46. They are not, because Mount Dora Police Department will get you. Things looking pretty good out here. No problems. If you're headed east towards I-4, nice and clear. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. Right now, an all-out search is on to find this convicted killer.
Yeah, Gator Guzman strangled his girlfriend to death, but was released from prison by mistake. And now the victim's mother says she's terrified about her own safety.
So the mistaken release happened in Clayton County, Georgia. The family, though, is from Point Siena, and they worry Guzman could be headed back to Central Florida. News 6's Mark Lehman following the latest live now. I mean, how could this happen, Mark?
That's really the big question. The sheriff in Clayton County, Georgia, says the release was a result of training and his workers not paying attention. The victim's mother calls it a case of complete negligence and is now afraid to even visit her daughter's gravesite.
Utter fear. I needed answers. I was asking questions, and I wasn't getting answers.
Christina Grayson says she's baffled and terrified her daughter's killer is on the loose. Officials in Georgia telling her Gator Guzman was set free after a mistake at the Clayton County Jail.
There was a coding error, and he was accidentally released.
Last fall, Guzman was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Delilah Grayson. The couple met in Point Siena and later moved to Georgia. The Clayton County Sheriff says Guzman was set free when workers looked at a court document that showed a motion to not prosecute. The sheriff said if they looked closer, they would have seen that was for a necrophilia charge, and the jury convicted Guzman of felony murder.
They said that the police are supposed to watch my house around the clock until he's apprehended.
Grayson says she wasn't notified of the mistake until nearly 2 weeks after Guzman's release, and she now fears he could be back in Florida.
I would like to see him apprehended. Just apprehend him and return him to, jail.
Grayson says she's losing sleep knowing her daughter's killer is still on the loose. Now, leaders in Clayton County say they have every available resource searching for Guzman. That also includes the U.S. Marshals Service. Crystal?
Mark, thanks. Also developing new details on this tragic scene out of New York. 6 people killed after a sightseeing helicopter crashed into the Hudson River. This morning, we're learning the pilot and a family of 5 tourists were on board. The NTSB arrived on the scene overnight to try and figure out what went wrong. Witnesses say they saw the chopper break apart midair just seconds before the crash. It had been in the air for less than 20 minutes.
Our hearts go out to the family of those who were on board and all 6 who were on board of the helicopter.
CBS News reports the victims were Simon's executive Augustin Escobar, his wife and 3 kids, as well as the pilot. We do know 2 of them survived the initial impact but later died at the hospital.
Happening today, a man accused of attacking a woman who was jogging in Orlando is set to face a judge for the first time since his arrest. The victim was jogging on Northumberland Avenue in the College Park area early yesterday when police say 26-year-old Tyler Fight pushed her to the ground, then tried to overpower her. An arrest affidavit shows before Fight could get on top of her, she started kicking him and yelling loudly, causing him to run off. We spoke with a local jiu-jitsu trainer who says if you're ever in a similar situation, these tactics are spot on.
You want to create awareness, so sound the alarm, scream, and then also she was able to, when she fell, she was able to bring her feet into the situation.
Shortly after the attack, Fight was arrested. Court records show he was recently released from jail where he was serving time for battery against a woman and that for the past 2 months had been living in the woods nearby.
New this morning, an assistant principal at a local middle school is arrested after investigators say she behaved inappropriately with a student. Dr. Kiva Lark works at Lake Marion Creek Middle School in Poinciana. Investigators say witnesses told them she disciplined a student by forcing him to rub her feet. The student also told investigators Lark referred to him as sexy chocolate. Lark admitted her actions were inappropriate. The Polk County School Superintendent released a statement calling Lark's behavior abhorrent. She now is charged with lewd and lascivious conduct against a student.
New this morning, Venezuelan organizations from around the country are in Orlando for a summit this week.
It comes as the Trump administration is trying to remove temporary protection status for Venezuelans and restart deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez is live this morning in Orlando with the details.
Crystal, Justin, those organizations will be meeting here today and tomorrow again at First Baptist Orlando to continue talking about how they plan to advocate for their community.
Casa de Venezuela founder William Diaz says he feels safer carrying his proof of citizenship given heightened focus on Venezuelans.
I got 36 years in this country, and this is the first time in my life that I go with this, wearing this in my pocket.
In February, the Department of Homeland Security vacated temporary protected status for Venezuelans, leaving hundreds of thousands in fear of deportation. But a judge blocked that order last week.
Trump administration could appeal that decision, and then it could go up to the Supreme Court. Is that something you guys are anticipating will happen?
Oh, absolutely.
Diaz is meeting with over 90 Venezuelan organizations for a summit to discuss ways to tackle this and other issues.
We need to clean a little bit the image of the Venezuelan community.
The future of TPS is uncertain, and so is the president's push to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. Last month, 238 Venezuelan migrants were sent to an El Salvador prison.
This group is acting as a terrorist organization. It is terrorizing our communities through attacks, torture.
On Wednesday, a judge issued a restraining order to temporarily block the effort to restart deportations. Advocates say they're fighting for the release of their criminal history.
All we are asking for them is the due process. We want justice to be served.
While these organizations continue to try to change the perception of Venezuelans here in the U.S., the Department of Homeland Security did put on its website that it has every intention of ending TPS for Venezuelans as soon as it can. Reporting in Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Thank you, Stephanie. 7:09, back to Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos, hanging out with her best friend, the crane, overlooking Port Canaveral on this really nice Friday morning.
Hey, just hanging out with my crane. Do we know when this project's over? I gotta get James on this. Find out what's going on with this crane. All right, take a live look outside. I'll stand in front of it. Launch Credit Union camera. Beautiful live look outside. Minus the crane. 64 degrees under partly cloudy skies. We've got that breeze in place. Temperatures into the afternoon are going to continue to rebound into those low 80s. Right now, along our coastline, we're in the 50s in areas in and around Flagler County at Palm Coast, 67 in Cocoa Beach, even across our inland zones right now. Feeling really nice. Even Apopka. Good morning to you guys right now at the upper 50s, 61 in the Villages. But as we take you into the afternoon, if you are enjoying the beaches today, the weather's not too bad. We still have that high risk of rip currents. The surf still around 2 to 3 feet, but area wide, we're all going to be in those 80s. We're going to stay mostly dry throughout the majority of the day, as well as we're going to continue to see that warm southwesterly breeze. But we are turning our attention to this next cold front. This has some cool air backing behind this front. That means that once it clears, we will see noticeably cooler air just in time for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, I'm not saying it's sweater weather by any means, but it is going to be comfortable. It's going to be nice with even overnight lows possibly dipping down even into the 40s and 50s. We'll be pinpointing what you can expect for the weekend and the big time summer heat up after that coming up in just a bit. Very Florida, right? We just got to do the extremes. Now let's check on those roadways. Trooper Steve, he's got your News 6 traffic update.
It's one or the other at this point, right? Old Canoe Creek at Zion Drive, St. Cloud. We do have a nasty crash out here. So this morning, you're sliding over to Canoe Creek. I was hopping on St. Cloud Police Department's Facebook page, and someone's already complaining that they should have notified you guys faster about this. Listen, Facebook and social media is not monitored 24 hours. They try to get the information out as quick as they can, as do we. So just bear with them. No reason to start your Friday off complaining on social media. Northbound Pleasant Hill looking routine this morning, so please be careful, but no crashes out in that area. And then your I-4 drive times actually doing pretty good this morning. 16 minutes, 417, Sanford to downtown. 20 minutes coming in from Osceola Parkway, and DOT cams looking really nice. Sun is shining, and the lanes, they're moving nice. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. 7:12, whether you love them or you hate them, peeps on store aisles, first sign of Easter.
Still ahead, a look inside the exhibit dedicated to the popular Easter candy. Plus, egg prices changing some beloved holiday traditions, the alternatives you could find at this year's Easter egg hunt.
First, though, highlighting the struggles mothers face during the first year of having a baby. The local doctor now pushing for more help. That's coming up next. You're watching News 6 Mornings, getting results on this Friday for all of Central Florida.
According to the CDC, suicide and overdoses are the leading causes of death for women in the first year following pregnancy. Maternal mental health conditions impact 800,000 families in the U.S. every year, yet 75% of women impacted remain untreated. All new this morning, News 6's Bridget Ellison introduces us to one local doctor doing everything she can to get results and save more lives.
Just the impact of sitting in a NICU for 100 days, definitely took an impact on my overall mental health. And it's honestly the passion that I have behind maternal mental health and maternal health.
Through her own ups and downs with motherhood, Dr. Shaynor Ishmael's work as a maternal mental health therapist became more dedicated than ever. Her team at Inspired Counseling Center offers support to everyone and specializes in mental health care for patients before, during, and after pregnancy.
I realized there was a gap in the resources that were needed for women as they navigated this period.
Various types of stress and family history are believed to be major triggers for maternal mental health conditions, yet a majority, 75% of women impacted, go untreated, putting mother and baby at higher risk for complications.
So it plays a major role in the overall perinatal period, which is why it's so important to address it, to acknowledge it, and also to be proactive in preventing the development of symptoms.
So what's causing this huge gap in care? Many times stigmas around mental health and lack of awareness. For instance, postpartum depression is commonly confused with baby blues.
It is a hormone regulation. So 80% of birthing individuals experience baby blues in the postpartum period. That should start to wane around 4 to 6 week mark. If you're still experiencing, like I said, the extreme sadness, the crying more days than not, the withdrawing from loved ones, not bonding or attaching with the baby, there's a sense where these are red flag indicators that should either be assessed or you need to make an appointment with a mental health professional.
Another note here, Dr. Shaynor says expectant moms may worry about the risks involved with taking antidepressants or continuing to take them if they already had them, but you can work with your doctor to weigh out the risks or benefits depending on your needs and the different medications available to decide what's best for you. I'm Bridget Ellison, News 6.
Egg prices have reached a record high just before the biggest egg holiday of the year, Easter. The average price for a dozen of eggs, now $6.23. Like a lot of families, Gwendolyn Sanders planned to dye Easter eggs with her 4-year-old daughter. This year, though, she says they may have to scale it back.
We're going to keep it limited to probably a half a dozen.
So if you're looking for an alternative to the holiday tradition, some creative, cheaper options are spreading on social media, like decorating potatoes or marshmallows.
Oh. So can you still eat the potatoes after?
I wouldn't.
Okay. Anyway, speaking of marshmallows, another popular tradition during the Easter holiday, Peeps. And if you're a fan, the annual Peeps exhibit, it's open. People have submitted paintings and sculptures all made out of Peeps for the exhibit. A few popular sculptures this year include the SpongeBob Peep Pants and the Green Bay Peepers.
Okay.
If you're a Peep lover, you're going to have to catch a flight to Wisconsin to see
I don't think anyone on earth would be like, you know what, there's a great exhibit in Wisconsin. Let's book a flight and go check out the Peep exhibit.
Yeah, you're going to be like, peep this.
Peep this.
Like, that is for locals only. For locals only.
Yeah. I almost got sick thinking of the texture. Like that.
I don't hate them, but certainly they're not my favorite.
No. I go more jelly beans this time of the year. And listen, the dyeing of the eggs, you could still eat the eggs.
Right, you can.
And some people, there's been this whole movement towards like the natural dyeing. You can boil beets for purple.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Well, Justin made a good point. You said you have to buy them in like the dozen or half a dozen anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like we're limiting it to 4. Well,
And you can't even get more than a dozen
Can
when
I
you
get
go.
7.5 eggs, please?
A la carte.
I'm excited about like
I'll do a 6-pack with 1 a la carte.
If you take some out, will it reduce the cost?
Or just think that a bright,
It's like a bunch of bananas.
Yeah.
You don't need that many.
bright blue baked potato. Come on.
Be crazy.
If you dye it with natural stuff, I guess so.
Well, they already have the purple potatoes, so then maybe you just paint over that since it's already purple.
That's the cheap way to go. Just tell your kids, I got you, here's the purple potato.
You find another activity. I don't know. Guys, all right, let's talk about what to expect across the area for today. It is going to be a dry and breezy day. The only problem with the day's forecast is our elevated fire risk today. Because it's dry, it's warm, it's breezy, it's that combination that will, again, be increasing our concern, not only for it sparking easily, but spreading quickly. Then as we enter the overnight hours, you'd think, all right, we got a cold front, we got rain, that's good news. Well, it's not a lot of rain. Barely any rain. Coverage for today is only about 20%, but some areas in Marion, Flagler, I'm really talking about you guys, really into the afternoon, early evening hours, you will have a threat for a few strong storms. So I don't want you to see that 20% and say, I'm not going to see any of it, because you will have a little bit of a higher chance for some rain. I'll show you coming up in just a few seconds. But then once that front finally clears by daybreak on Saturday, Whew, talk about picture perfect. Chamber of Commerce weekend. That's what Justin always says, right? It's the picture perfect weather. Temperatures out the door right now. We're in those 50s across our northwestern zones, Ocala and Wildwood. We're about 10 degrees warmer up and down the I-4 corridor, holding at 63 degrees in Sanford. Now let's check on your hour-by-hour forecast for your Friday. We're pinpointing a high today of 85 degrees, still mostly clear skies, bringing with it a little more cloud cover, a little more rain as the sun goes down. So let's show you here on our latest model update of our future cast. You can see throughout most of the day, nothing to be too concerned about, except that fire danger, of course. But you can see by 5 o'clock, see that little line there? We have just enough instability from all the daytime heating throughout the afternoon that could spark up some heavier downpours, some gusty winds, even some small pea-sized hail. But then that's it. That's the only threat we have in the forecast. And then a couple little rogue sprinkles here and there throughout the overnight hours into early Saturday morning, though. That front will clear. Look at those conditions behind it by 7 a.m. Meteorologist Michelle Morgan will be pinpointing a beautiful Saturday on tap. Looking at your severe weather risk for today, again, just a low end level 1 out of 5, but still worth a mention for Flagler and Marion County, northern Sumter County possible as well. Then on Sunday morning, our highs are going to be staying in the 70s both Saturday and Sunday, but the coolest point of the weekend will come early Sunday just before sunrise there at 49 possibly in Ocala. So many of our areas northwest of I-4 could be flirting with those upper 40s for a few hours. But let's talk about not only this weekend, but next weekend. We have the big Easter holiday with all the egg and peep talk. We are going to be trending warmer and drier, so making sure you're not putting too many of the chocolates in the eggs you're going to be hunting outside, because that's going to be messy. As you get results here with your full 7-day forecast, the good news is if you have any outdoor plans this weekend, they're going to be good to go. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
We are making progress across Central Florida. I-4 DOT cam's looking good. Further south here, this crash down in St. Cloud, Old Canoe Creek at Zion Drive. One of my loyal Instagram followers. He's been following me forever. He's a emergency photographer, vehicle photographer. He just sent in some photos, sent it to me. They are in the process of cleaning this right up. I really appreciate that. And it's all teamwork how we get the information here. So if you see something, say something, let me know. Old Canoe Creek, Zion Drive again. We'll see some clearance here within the next few minutes, but the delays on Canoe Creek starting to build up a little bit. If you're headed towards I-4, we're looking pretty good. 22 minutes from Osceola Parkway to downtown Orlando. But the bad part is the delay between 27 and 429. It's pretty thick. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. Hey, listen up, foodies. Looking for a new spot to try? Don't forget to join us every Wednesday at 4:30 for Matt Austin's I-4 food tour. From those hole-in-the-wall joints to five-star dining, we have all the hidden gems that you'll want to try.
Millions of millennials are struggling with record high debt. Now help is available.
Yeah, at the bottom of the hour, the nonprofit working to get your balance in the black.
Plus, the drone show company behind a mid-air collision at Lake Eola is cleared to take to the skies again, what they now pledge to do differently. The drone company responsible for a Christmas show mishap at Lake Eola last year has now been given the green light to operate again. To get their drones back in the air, Sky Elements had agreed with the FAA to allow more prep time and safety checks before each show. There will also be more training for drone pilots. Last year's drone show caused a 7-year-old boy to be severely injured after multiple drones fell from the sky. An investigation later revealed at least 5 drones were not operating correctly before the production began. A reboot was supposed to fix it, but it did not.
Well, new this morning, the Orlando Utilities Commission, OUC, is celebrating the opening of its largest solar energy center yet. The facility, located on 2 different 600-plus acre sites east of St. Cloud, produces enough solar energy to power 50,000 typical homes. That more than doubles OUC's existing solar capacity. Both AdventHealth and Universal have signed on to get energy directly from that site. If you plan to celebrate with the national champion Florida Gators, now's your chance.
Still ahead, details on tomorrow's major parade. Plus, affordable housing, hard to come by here in Central Florida. The new apartments welcoming families in today.
And the search for a convicted murderer mistakenly released from a Georgia prison. Why one local woman says she now fears for her life.
Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results.
Good morning, Central Florida. Looking throughout the next few hours right now, we're starting off in the 50s and 60s, but into the mid-80s we go. Good morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. Now, rain chances are going to be trending upward, primarily because we are watching the approach of a new cold front. So most of us will stay dry, warm, breezy. We do have an elevated risk for fire danger, with the possibility of a few strong storms across our northern zones, all thanks to a cold front that will finally be clearing Central Florida as we head into the overnight hours. Behind it, though, a beautiful, picture-perfect weekend ahead, both Saturday and Sunday. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 update.
Picture-perfect weekend. Right now, traffic kind of spotty. I-4 a little slow here and there, routine, and then that earlier mess along St. Cloud down in Old Canoe Creek at Zion. Calling this cleared out. Just watch out for some of the delays that have moved over towards Canoe Creek. The news continues next. Come on over. Remember, you get updates. ClickOrlando.com.
This portion of the news is sponsored by AK Certified Roofing. Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results.
7:30 on this Friday. Let's get a check of our top stories. Authorities trying to track down a convicted killer who was released from jail by mistake. Kathan Guzman had been serving a life sentence in Georgia, the victim from Osceola County, and now her mother fears for her safety.
A man accused of attacking a jogger in Orlando's College Park neighborhood should face a judge today. Investigators say Tyler Freight went after the victim early yesterday on Northumberland Avenue, but ran off after she started screaming and kicking.
And the NTSB arrived overnight to the scene of a deadly helicopter crash on the Hudson River. The pilot and a family of 5 were killed when witnesses say the sightseeing chopper broke apart midair yesterday before plunging into the water.
Let's turn now to the weather. A nice Friday on tap, but we could see some showers as the weekend gets underway.
Not too much, a little sprinkle here and there. Let's get a check of that forecast with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos.
Yeah, great looking weekend forecast today. The first concern will just be the elevated fire risk because of how dry and breezy and warm it will be. Then later on this evening, we have a low end risk for some severe weather. Not for everybody. We're talking Marion and Flagler. That will be that threat for you guys. So let's take it step by step. Downtown Orlando sky cam, a beautiful start to the day, nice and cool. Most of us now warming into those low 60s, a few upper 50s though right now in our northwestern zones. You can see 53 right now in Ocala, 54 degrees in Wildwood. Now into the afternoon, temperatures area-wide will be running just a few degrees above average, all in those mid 80s. But because we have the very dry conditions are also very warm out there. We also are going to be tying the breeze in place with it. Right now, we're talking winds upwards about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So the trio of those conditions elevating that fire threat, which is why we do have a fire weather warning in effect for Volusia, Northern Brevard, Seminole, Orange, Osceola, and Polk County between 1 and 7 o'clock this afternoon and into the evening. Beach forecast is looking great if you have the opportunity to do so. We still have that high risk of rip current. Surf not as bad as yesterday, down to only about 2 to 3 feet. We are going to continue to pinpoint a little more rain, just a little bit, later on tonight with a very nice looking forecast ahead for the weekend. We'll have more details on all of that coming up in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
All right, things not too bad on a Friday. We're slowly clearing things up. I want to get outside so bad because 408 and the sun, it just looks great out there. Whether you're eastbound, westbound, no major delays. Over there, over Orange Blossom Trail, nice and clear. And then a little closer towards Conway, doing pretty well. DOT cam out here on I-4 showing we're moving up to speed this morning with some minor slowdowns where the attractions. Disney area, we're talking Floridian Way out towards Epcot Center, aka 536. I'll step back a little bit. You can see just some of that eastbound delay, but out there, not that bad. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. A manhunt for convicted murderer this morning after he was accidentally released from a Georgia jail. Now a mother right here in Central Florida says that she's in fear. It's because his victim was her daughter. Kathan Guzman is convicted of strangling Delilah Grayson to death in Clayton County, Georgia, after they left Poinciana to, quote, start a new life. But exactly where Guzman remains is still a mystery. News 6's Mark Lehman live in studio now with what we're learning this morning. Mark?
The victim's mother says she's terrified and searching for answers with her daughter's killer on the loose. And authorities in Georgia waiting nearly 2 weeks to notify the public of the accidental release, leaving many wondering how something like this could happen.
They said that the police are supposed to watch my house around the clock until he's apprehended.
Christina Grayson says she's living in fear after learning her daughter's killer was somehow mistakenly released from a jail in Georgia.
Utter fear. I needed answers. I was asking questions and I wasn't getting answers.
Kathan Guzman was sentenced to life in prison in October for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Delilah Grayson. The two met at Poinciana High School and later moved to Georgia. Grayson's mother says she wasn't notified about the release until more than a week later.
There was a coding error and he was accidentally released.
The Clayton County Sheriff says workers at the jail made the mistake after seeing a motion to not prosecute on a court document. If they looked further, they would have noticed that was on a necrophilia charge, and a jury had already convicted Guzman of murder. Now, as a search is underway, Grayson says she's worried Guzman could be headed back to Central Florida.
I would like to go visit her gravesite, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid that he might be there.
Grayson tells us she just wants to see her daughter's killer caught so he can serve every day of his life sentence. The district attorney in Clayton County says all available resources are searching for Guzman. We've learned that includes U.S. Marshals. Justin?
Thank you, Mark. Well, it was video that made headlines nationwide after a woman was caught on camera being carjacked in Seminole County before being murdered. Now in just hours, her husband is expected back in court.
Miguel Aguas Vivas Lizardo is set to plead guilty to a multi-million-dollar money laundering scheme. Federal investigators say Lizardo was involved with a Colombian drug trafficking organization and that he and his wife, Catherine Aguas Vivas, would pick up drug money in Orlando, then take it back to South Florida and convert it to cryptocurrency. Prosecutors say Catherine Aguas Vivas was on one of those trips last year when she was abducted, robbed, and then killed. Several people were also charged in connection with the case. As for Lizardo, under the plea deal, he's set to get 20 years behind bars. In today's hearing will be at 10 o'clock at federal court in Orlando.
Students at Satellite High in Brevard County held a demonstration yesterday supporting a teacher whose contract was not renewed. So far, more than 11,000 people have signed a petition to return Melissa Calhoun for next school year. The district says she broke the state's parental rights in education law when she called a student by their preferred name without parental permission, but many have been coming to her defense.
I understand it's policy, but I don't think it's right. And just to see that she was just not renewed was truly very upsetting.
The district and the Brevard Teachers Union both have released statements about the controversy, and you can check that out online right now at clickorlando.com.
A special celebration of life is planned today for longtime Central Florida businessman David Siegel. The 89-year-old died last weekend after a long battle with cancer. Siegel was the founder of Westgate Resorts, but was also known for his work to battle the opioid crisis after his own daughter died of an overdose. Tonight's celebration runs from 4 until 7 at the First Baptist Church on John Young Parkway.
Breaking overnight, the Chinese government has announced a countermeasure to U.S. tariffs placed by President Trump. They will now be taxing U.S. goods at 125%. Worries over the ongoing trade war once again caused stocks to dip significantly yesterday. Each of the major indices ended the day down anywhere from 3.5% to 4.3%. Now, China's latest move comes after the president raised the tariffs on goods imported from the country to 145% earlier this week. He's calling on China to come to the table so the two countries can work out a deal. No talks, though, are currently scheduled.
It's an issue not just here in Central Florida, but across the country, finding affordable housing for Americans making less than the area's median income. In Altamont Springs, a new project opens today, helping families get results and find a place to live. News 6's Angie Casada is showing us all about this small step forward.
Altamont Springs just ranked as Seminole County's most affordable city and 49th statewide, according to a new Zillow report on Florida housing prices. And this week, leaders here are celebrating a major milestone in their push for even more affordable options.
So this is about more than rent prices. It's about affordability and stability for our families in Seminole County and specifically Altamont Springs.
Banyan East Town Apartments officially opens today. The 92-unit complex is reserved for families making 60% or less of the area's median income. The development also offers free classes in literacy, money management, and job skills, all walking distance from the Sunrail station. This new addition is something Seminole County Housing looks forward to.
What does this mean for you guys when you see that a new housing opportunity comes?
We get very excited because a lot of times there aren't available units, and we're kind of in a weird place right now. We are seeing more for rent signs. Anytime we can get a private landlord to participate in our program, that's a win for the economy, it's a win for our participants, it's a win for the landlords.
It's a small step in a region still grappling with rising costs, but in Altamont Springs, it's a promise that affordability isn't just a buzzword. In Altamont Springs, Angie Casada, News 6.
New in your money this morning for anyone who uses the E-Pass program, special discounts are officially coming back. The Central Florida Expressway Authority announced those changes yesterday. So customers will receive tiered savings up to 25% based on how many times they use the toll roads each month. 40 to 79 transactions a month will result in a 20% savings. 80 plus transactions will save you 25%. The move comes after the recent end of a separate state-run discount program and only applies to tolls on roads maintained by the Expressway Authority. I think that makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of toll roads here in Central Florida. It's hard to avoid in today's world. So yeah, if you use them a lot, you should get some savings.
Anytime I have people from out of town come visit, they're like, do you have to pay to go everywhere? I'm like, well, you just have to be strategic. That's all. But yeah, listen, 20-25%. If you're racking up, 40 to 75 tolls a week, a month, that's a significant chunk of money you can get back. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast. Talk about a significant chunk to our temperatures being cut off by tomorrow, as we're going to go from 85 degrees today down into the 70s tomorrow. So get outdoors, find ways of enjoying this nice weather, because mid-April, 70s, they don't stick around for too long, and they don't come back until November. So let's look at those temperatures right now. A nice cool start right now throughout Ocala, Wildwood still in those 50s. Rest of Central Florida, for the most part, all in those 60s. Throughout the afternoon, though, in and around Orlando, we're going to be in those mid-80s. 80s pretty much area-wide, but notice up in our northern zones where we have the cloud cover ahead of our next cold front, temperatures this afternoon are going to be in the 70s because they're going to be on the backside of that front today. Because it's going to be warm, dry, breezy, the combination of that continues to increase our fire danger for today, so a warning is in effect between 1 and 7 o'clock. So just make sure you're not throwing out the cigarette butts, no open burning, and even parking your car on kind of that dry grass. We have a lot of it because of this. Our drought monitor updated yesterday, increasing and widening out the concern for a severe drought right now, not only a Sumter and Lake County concern, but is now starting to spread even into Volusia County. We'll have more details on any chance for rain in the forecast coming up in just a little bit. Now let's check on those roadways. Trooper Steve, he's got your News 6 traffic update.
Looks like by the time some of that rain flows in, I'm going to be on vacation.
Thanks for the reminder.
You're welcome. I'll remind you until I leave. I-4 east and westbound, we're doing nice and smooth this morning. Attractions, your routine. You're not great, you're not bad. Four Corners, good morning to you guys. If you're staying out on our west side of Earl Bronson Memorial Highway, that's what we call the Four Corners. 4 different counties come into contact with each other. That eastbound delay is starting to settle in, and I'm calling this crash clear from St. Cloud at Old Canoe Creek. Investigation will continue, but the roadway now open. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. It's an ongoing issue across the country, people dealing with unmanageable debts.
And one group of people is struggling more than anyone else, according to a recent study. Coming up, why experts say millennials are in such bad financial shape and who's now trying to get them relief.
And later, celebrating the national champion Florida Gators, what you need to know about a big event planned for this weekend.
Just one day after the FAA replaced 4 air traffic control managers at Reagan International Airport, we were learning 2 planes clipped each other while on the runway. Investigators say no injuries were reported. Yesterday, when 2 American Airlines regional jets bumped wings, 7 members of Congress were aboard one of the flights headed to New York. The other flight was on its way to South Carolina. This comes just months after 67 people were killed in a mid-air collision at the same airport.
More than 1 million Americans are struggling with unmanageable debts. According to a new survey, millennials are the largest generation of consumers looking for some relief, with an average personal debt of a record high $30,000 last year. News 6 producer Robert Brewer spoke to someone in Deltona whose family is finally getting the help they need.
We were thinking about selling one of the cars. We couldn't go anywhere because we weren't paying for gas and stuff.
Is too high. That's Michael, an account executive with Salesforce development company Flosum. His family was in the same situation as millions of Americans, mounting credit card debt with nowhere to turn.
It was a difficult time to think through that, wanting to take care of my family, my kids, my wife, and make sure I make ends meet. And so we were pretty stressed.
Stressed because his debt snowball had reached $46,000.
You had cut everything you could cut, you had budgeted everything you could budget, and you still knew it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, it was in that spot when we were desperate and asked for help.
So they talked to the bank about their situation and were recommended Money Management International, a nonprofit that helps people like Michael pay down their debt.
At the end of our counseling sessions, a lot of clients tell us that they just feel a weight lifted off their shoulder because they see a path forward.
MMI works with creditors to reduce your interest rates and finds monthly payments that fit your budget.
What we're looking for is ways to remove the stigma, remove that shame barrier, so that as many consumers that need help as possible get the help they need.
So you feeling a little less stressed nowadays?
Yeah, actually a lot less stressed.
With MMI's help and a whole lot of hard work and discipline, Michael's family will be free of that $46,000 credit card debt just 4 years after starting the program. In Deltona, Robert Brewer, News 6.
Proof of performance. I love that. I love him sharing his story. It really resonates. And MMI says the time frame is fairly common. They say debt elimination, while it takes a lot of hard work, typically takes about 3 to 5 years for people who qualify for their debt management plan. We have a link to their website on our website, clickorlando.com.
Money, hard to get, easy to spend, right?
You ain't kidding.
Well, 2 girls in St. Cloud are working to bring an extra bit of joy to those affected by Hurricane Helene last year. Kenzie and Kaylee are bringing American Girl dolls to young ladies affected by the storm in North Carolina. The dolls are given a story, much like the one the recipient is facing, and sent out refurbished with new outfits, hairstyles, and a few other items. The girls say they're just happy to make others smile.
I just really love that we get to help out and make them happy and they get to not be as scared as they were before.
I mean, it's one thing to think about it and then to act on it.
Right.
It's, wow. Shout out to them and shout out to their parents.
And their parents.
Shout out to their parents.
Yeah.
Big time.
Raised in a great household.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen by accident.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. How you feeling, Steve?
I'm
I know
good,
it's your
man.
birthday, and I
Feeling
know
a
how
little
I'm
older.
feeling after a little Krispy Kreme action.
I'm crashing a little
Yeah,
bit.
a little bit.
Are you feeling that?
Oh, yeah.
So I've had 2.
It's like...
And I came over here
like
and
cement down here.
I think why Justin said that, he looked at me and I'm like,
yeah,
rubbing my eyes before the 4 shot.
Oh, but he was enjoying it. Steve was over here licking each finger.
It's good stuff.
I don't know how Justin was able to pull it off, but he was able to get here warm, hot Krispy Kreme donuts for me for my birthday. So I appreciate you guys.
You got it. Hey,
Thank you,
deserve
guys.
it, man.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those
How you
days.
feeling? I know you have one.
I had one. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I balanced out with a little bit of yogurt and some
Oh, there you
stuff. So
All about a little balance. All about a little balance.
let's talk about
I can't say the same.
Let's talk about the weather forecast. You guys are stuck up here. I have my little.
Get your lunchbox.
I'm like a little hamster. I'm just like,
I've already looked back twice, and there's been 2 squares of cheese already eaten by her. So she did balance well.
It's called gut health, okay? All right, let's talk about your weather forecast across the area. Listen, it is Steve's birthday weekend, and because of that, we're going to give everyone in Central Florida a free great weekend. You're welcome. You're welcome. Justin can do hot donuts. I can do a nice weather forecast. All right. For today, it's going to be cool. It's going to be dry, beautiful afternoon, albeit a bit on the warm side. But really, comes Saturday and Sunday, that's when the picture-perfect weather is going to settle in. Enjoy it, because then you've got this that we'll be talking about come Monday morning. Hot. It's going to be soaring back to near 90 degrees. So the cold front that's going to come through has that support of that jet stream digging, bringing with it all that cool air, which is going to make things feel really nice and really comfortable. But notice the jet stream after that. It all retreats back up to the north, leaving a big old ridge of high pressure over the Gulf to build in, keeping things much warmer over the next couple of days. Next week. Temperatures out the door right now. Nothing hot about our forecast. Mild, cool, crisp. 53 right now in Marion County. The Villages at 59. Wildwood still holding on into those mid-50s. But now let's check on that hour-by-hour forecast for today. We're back into the mid-80s this afternoon, so just a touch warmer than yesterday. Still tons of sunshine, looking mostly dry. Now, when it comes to our rain chances, most of us are barely going to see any rain throughout the day. Our far northern zones, you might tap into a little bit of that moisture by about 5, 6 o'clock. So that's why rain chances will start trending up a little bit later on into the day. So let's take you here step by step. Clouds and rain forecast. Again, tracking a line of possible some scattered showers, a few heavier downpours. Could pack some gusty winds, maybe even some small hail because of the way the atmosphere is stacked up. But once the sun goes down, notice how quickly all that instability kind of falls off. We'll have some clouds, a little bit of rain if you're lucky throughout the overnight, and then that cold front clears, delivering a great looking forecast. Both Saturday and Sunday staying in the 70s. Will be breezy on Saturday, but a nice cool start Sunday morning. It's Palm Sunday, so a lot of folks might be out a little earlier for Sunday services. We'll be waking up into those 40s and 50s. Some of the coolest air we've seen in about 3 weeks or so. And then don't worry, we'll back to regular scheduled programming where we're sweating and, saunaing for Central Florida throughout next week. Now let's check on those roadways with Birthday Boy.
Thank you, ma'am. For those that don't know the kind of weather conditions that she's talking about, maybe you've just moved here. You're about to find out. Then you'll be able to talk about that. All right, listen, we have a problem out here. 429, not so much, but just west here of the interstate off of Ocoee-Popka Road. There's a report of a serious crash out here north and southbound between West and Woodland. So please be careful. I do believe we already have Ocoee Police Department already out on scene. Turnpike a little slow as you approach Claremont, but outside of that, biggest delay is going to be by the attractions, now chalking up to be a bad Friday. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Trooper Steve. They're officially national champions and looking to have another big celebration.
Coming up, the next big event planned for the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators are set to celebrate their big win in the national championship game tomorrow. So the team is celebrating during an extended halftime at the football team's orange and blue spring game. Kicks off at 1 o'clock, halftime celebrations expected to start around 2. The event will include head coach Todd Golden and the Gators players talking about that historic run in a historic season. Gates open at 11:30 a.m. Festivities happening starting at 10 in the morning.
New this morning, the Food and Drug Administration says it will be phasing out certain drugs from being required to be tested on animals. The FDA saying it's taking these steps because there are more effective and, quote, human-relevant ways to test the drugs. One possible replacement for the testing is using AI-based computer simulations or even certain types of lab-grown organs. Until now, lab testing on animals was the most common way to prove drugs were safe and effective before human use. But Congress passed a bill that later became law 2 years ago, allowing drug makers to use animal testing alternatives.
It's a huge accomplishment for any high school student to get accepted into college, but one Houston teen took it to the next level. 10 Fam was accepted to all 8 Ivy League schools on top of several other prestigious colleges across the country. His final pick, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, which he says he chose because it's full of problem solvers, collaborators, and people who want to work together to advance tomorrow's problems.
Wow.
I almost went
How
to
you feel?
MIT.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I declined it, actually.
I declined it, right?
Candace?
All right, let's talk about your weather forecast for today. Temperatures right now in the 50s and 60s area-wide. Our highs this afternoon will continue to rebound. A little warmer than yesterday into those mid-80s, but we are watching the approach of our next cold front. Could develop a couple of scattered showers, a few heavier storms for Marion and Flagler County late in the day today. But then here comes that front that will be delivering some really nice weather, though, as we head into that weekend. By Saturday and Sunday, highs will be staying in the 70s, could be dipping down into those 40s and 30s now. 40s and 50s
scared me.
come Sunday morning. Sorry, I gave Trooper Steve a heart attack.
I thought she was about to toss over to traffic, and she said 30s, and I about choked out. 429, you guys are good, but there's a serious crash off Akoya Popka this morning. Please be careful, avoid it, and thank you guys. In 8 years being here, this is the best birthday I've had.
All right.
I appreciate you guys.
Go us.
Love it.
We got a good team here.
Thanks for joining us. We break news on clickorlando.com.
You can also find all of our stories on our new 6 Plus app for your TV.
Have a great Friday and a great weekend.